Hi there, my name's Sam Atwater. I'm the Head Opinion Editor at the Mancunian. I'm joined today by Elliot Briffa, who is the City and Communities Officer for the Manchester Students' Union SU. Thank you very much for being with us.
No problem.
Today. As I said, you're the City and Communities Officer. Can you tell us a little bit about the role and what you've been doing with it?
Yeah, so I mean, as City and Community Officer, it's kind of sort of external to campus a lot of times, getting students involved in the local community, supporting them with issues that they face, not necessarily directly as students, but just as people in the city. And a lot of stuff I've been working on is trying to get students more aware of their rights, particularly around renting and in the workplace, and trying to get the student union to be more active in campaigning on a political platform that the students believe in.
Is there anything specific that you're working on at the moment?
Well, quite a few things. One of the things is a lot of students, when they're working part-time, we're seeing that more and more, are working in the hospitality sector. And so we are working with Unite the Union's hospitality branch on their Get Me Home Safely campaign, trying to get the City Council to introduce more measures to support workers like working in the late night economy, ensuring that they're given free transport to get back home so they're not viable to be assaulted or anything on the way home.
Cool, fantastic. Well, your idea statement included a demand that the university install gender-neutral toilets across every building across UOM's campus. Has there been any progress on this?
I mean, so Aisha's been putting in a lot of effort, as well as a lot of other student union staff members. I'm not the only person that's wanting to see gender-neutral toilets. I'm fairly certain it is actually an SU policy as well that's passed quite recently to call on the university to introduce more. Unfortunately, there is only so many things you can focus on at one given time. I admittedly haven't had the opportunity to push on that. I'm not in the committees that tend to focus on that sort of thing. I still completely support that, and I believe it is right that all buildings on campus should have gender-neutral toilets. I want the senior leadership to do that, and I would love to work with students who also believe in that, because it can't just be as SU officers doing stuff. We need students involved, and we need students to actually be pushing for things themselves.
Okay. Back to your election campaign.
Yeah.
You received a significant number of endorsements from various societies, including groups like Manchester Leftist Action, Manchester Rent Strike, and Manchester Student Renters Union. This has led to the suggestion that there was a significant block vote in your favour. Has this influenced your decision making since your election?
I mean, I ran on my beliefs and my position, and the work that I've been doing in the job has, I believe, been exactly in line with that. I still believe in those things. I think I've played a very open hand. I am a socialist. I do believe that the marketisation of education has been a disaster, and that we need to see concrete changes to that, that we need to see students organising against that to try and get that system abolished. Yes, at this university there is a huge amount of students that are politicised, that are active in organising, and that is the background that I came from. So I completely see why a lot of those students wanted to endorse me for the campaign.
Cool. How do you think your involvement with non-university affiliated political groups, and indeed those on campus, so as I said, Manchester Leftist Action, the Tenants Union, which I know that you've been a big part of, and you're a big advocate of, how has that interacted with your role as an elected student representative?
Well, I mean, firstly, that was what I was elected on, was those relationships. That was a big part of my campaign, around my involvement in groups like the Tenants Union. I mean, I think it's actually particularly for my role as the City and Community Officer, I should be having these connections to wider groups, wider organisations, and it's really important that we don't see ourselves as students as being separate from the wider community. That is actually, that sort of pitting students against local residents is one of the main reasons that we see such big issues in housing and that sort of thing. In fact, what we need to be doing is standing in solidarity with them and with each other, and that is what groups like the Tenants Union advocate for.
Is there a synergy to be found between those sort of resident groups and, as you said, making sure that there's good relations, and the university itself?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the students, the institution of the university, because the role that it plays as a landlord and as you know, a sort of establishment organisation, I think it often doesn't do enough to reach out to those communities and to actually engage with them in a meaningful manner. But absolutely, students should be focused on getting involved with the local community, and the local community should be focused on getting involved with students.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that affiliation benefits the student body, and what steps are you taking to ensure that the views of the entire student population are being represented, and not just the views of those who are supporting you and those who you agree with?
Well, I mean, in terms of representing all students, the SU still has plenty of mechanisms like union assembly that students' voices can be heard. I believe it's a really important thing that student union officers are enacting the SU policies. That's something that it often feels that, you know, we have these policies passed and they don't get enacted. I'm working with the democracy team to ensure that everything that's on the books is actually followed through with. But I mean, in terms of benefits to the student community, these community groups have such a wealth of knowledge, you know, on their specific areas. The tenants union, the amount of knowledge in that about housing and about renters and what it means to be a renter and how that affects your life and how you can challenge your landlord. You know, bringing that knowledge into our student union and, you know, working with them to hold events here, I believe will you know, encourage students to be more aware of.
I mean, you mentioned earlier that you're a socialist and you were very proud of being a socialist. If, therefore, a student group that was overtly not a socialist group, or indeed didn't carry the tag, were to come to you and claim to have expertise and wanted to help, would you be happy to work with them?
I'd be more than happy to meet with them, to talk with them, to come up with a plan together of how I can support them to take, you know, the action that they want to do. That is ultimately my job, is to support students organising themselves. Any groups that want to reach out to me, I've had quite a few groups that I've been working with that I didn't know before, or well, I knew of, but I didn't know them closely. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah. As community and city officer, how have you found engaging with local government and Manchester City Council and the other bodies and community sort of groups across Greater Manchester? And have there been any difficulties, you know, due to perceived divide, as we spoke about earlier, between students and the local community?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been sort of meeting with councillors on a one-to-one basis. From before I was an SU officer, I was quite involved in stuff like the petitions against the planning department and the Gamecock development. There is this sort of view within the city council of all students sort of want to live in and can afford to live in purpose-built student accommodation. That is continuing. That has been one of the things that I've been most sort of persistently trying to challenge, the fact that, you know, when they say that different students want different types of things, the reality is that most students just want good quality accommodation that is affordable. That's just the main thing, is the affordability, and getting that through to local government has, you know, it's proven very difficult.
Right. Have you got any future plans for the role? What are you intending to do in the next 8 months?
Well, so one of the things that we've been working on as an officer team is the Reclaim the Night protest in November, 21st of November, I apologise. And this year we've been working with students to make it a bit more sort of tangible. It's not just going to be a single march where you know, everyone holds their banners. We've got some actual demands, one of which being that Get Me Home Safely campaign. And then following on from that, we're organising a Reclaim the Town Hall event, where we're going to try and get any students that were either involved in a march or just widely want to see these policies enacted, can come to the SU. We hold a big town hall and we figure out how we're actually going to get these policies introduced. But yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that sounds fantastic. The one thing I've got to ask, as a final question, is do you intend to restand next year?
I mean, it's kind of weird because a lot of times it feels like I've only just started the job. Because we started in June, and then it was only in September that students actually came back and there was stuff happening on campus. So it feels like I've not really been in for a huge amount of time. I'm currently thinking of it. Yes. When I got elected the first time, I wanted to see it through. I wanted to do as much as I can. I don't think that this year I am going to be able to do everything that I want to do.
Scale of 1 to 10?
7, 8.
7, 8. That's pretty
7,
high.
8. Yeah. I did kind of see it as a 2-year thing that I was going to be putting myself forward to do, and I want to see that through.
2 terms city and community officer.
My predecessor did 2 terms as well, and she did a very good job in the role.
Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. You've been a brilliant sport.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.